The night before Emma Blake's wedding was supposed to be calm. The final deep breath before forever. Her bridal suite at a quiet inn in Monterey, California, overlooked the Pacific, and the sea whispered gently through the open window. Everything was ready. Her white dress hung near the glass door, catching the soft glow of the moon. Her friends had gone to bed after a long day of laughter, final touches, and photos. She sat alone, barefoot in a robe, hands resting on her knees, staring at the dress she'd dreamed about since she was a girl. Emma was Arshadzo. Her fiancé, Daniel, was kind and thoughtful, an engineer from Seattle who brought her tea every morning, remembered her favorite songs, and knew when to speak and when to listen. She met him at a friend's Christmas party 2 years ago. He'd been a quiet presence in a loud room, and something about his calmness pulled her in. She always told people he made her feel safe, and that was true. But now, on the night before they were meant to say their vows, something deep inside her felt unsettled. Not regret, just something unspoken. A quiet hum of doubt that she had pushed down for months. Then, at 11:12 p.m., there was a knock at the door. Emma paused. Her first thought was that her sister, Katie, had forgotten something. She pulled her robe tighter, walked to the door, and opened it. It wasn't her sister, it was Liam Carter. Her breath caught in her throat. Liam, her best friend in college. The one who used to play guitar under the trees outside the library. The one who'd told her he was in love with her the night before graduation, then vanished from her life. No calls, no messages, just silence. And now, 5 years later, he was standing in front of her, hands in his jacket pockets, eyes full of memories. "Hi," he said softly, as if he didn't quite believe this was real. "I know this is crazy, but I had to see you." Emma blinked, trying to make sense of it. "Liam, what are you doing here?" "I heard you were getting married. I couldn't let you go without saying something I should have said a long time ago." Before she could speak, there was another knock. She turned, confused, then opened the door again. This time it was Ryan Adams, her childhood neighbor, her first real crush. The boy who taught her how to ride a bike held her hand under the stars at 16 and kissed her behind the church after prom. They had lost touch after high school. He'd moved to Vermont. She stayed in California. She hadn't seen him in over a decade. "Emma," he said with a nervous smile, "I know it's been years. But when I found out you were getting married, I had this feeling I couldn't ignore. So I came." She stared, stunned. What is happening right now? Before she could gather her thoughts, there was a third knock. She almost laughed from disbelief, opening the door. Her breath left her. Michael Langston, her ex from New York. The man who had swept into her life like a storm, full of charm and passion. They had met when she moved to the city after college. Their relationship had been intense, emotional, and often overwhelming. He challenged her, pushed her, made her feel more alive than anyone ever had. But it ended badly. Too many fights, too many dreams going in opposite directions. She thought she'd never see him again. He stood there now, dressed in a black coat, the wind catching his dark hair. "I came for closure," he said, voice low. "Or maybe to stop the wedding. I'm not sure which." Emma backed up slowly, letting them all into the room, heart pounding so loud she could barely hear her own thoughts. She closed the door behind them and turned around. 3 men, each from a different part of her life, all standing in the same room. No one spoke at first. Then Liam cleared his throat. "I left back then because I didn't think I was good enough for you. I wanted to be something before I stood beside you. But I waited too long. I thought I was over it. Then I heard your name again, and it all came rushing back." Ryan stepped forward. "I don't have a big story. Just never forgot you. Not really. I thought maybe it was just childhood, but when I saw the wedding announcement, I knew it wasn't. I had to see you, even if it was just to say goodbye properly." Michael walked to the window, looking out at the ocean. "We were fire, Emma. Maybe too much, but it was real. And I still feel it. I won't lie, when I heard you were getting married, it hurt. I had no right to feel that way, but I did. I guess I just needed to know if there's still something left between us. Emma sank onto the edge of the bed, trying to breathe. She looked up at them, voice soft. You all just decided to come? Tonight. None of them knew the others were coming. Each had arrived with their own intentions, their own timing, her own hopes. She ran a hand through her hair, emotions swirling. These were men who had shaped her heart, each in a different way. Liam was comfort. Ryan was innocence. Michael was fire. And Daniel was safety, stability, the man she was supposed to love for the rest of her life. Her chest ached. I'm getting married in the morning, she whispered, mostly to herself. Ryan sat down across from her. Then maybe we're all too late. But maybe. There's still time to ask yourself what you really want. Liam nodded. You don't owe us anything. You owe yourself the truth. Michael didn't say a word. He just looked at her the way he used to, intense, searching. The room fell quiet again. Outside, the waves kept crashing against the shore. Emma looked at her dress. It swayed gently in the breeze. She had imagined this night 100 times, how she'd fall asleep smiling, dreaming of tomorrow. But this wasn't that night. This was something else. Her heart was full, her mind spinning. She didn't know what the right choice was, only that everything had changed. And that tomorrow, her wedding day, would never be what she thought it would be. She stood slowly, walking to the balcony. The moonlight touched her face. The stars above blinked quietly, as if holding secrets she hadn't yet discovered. Behind her, the 3 men waited, for answers, for hope, for something she wasn't sure she could give. Not tonight, not yet. She closed her eyes and listened to the ocean, to her breath, and finally, to her heart. The silence after the last words hung in the room like fog. Emma stood on the balcony, her back to the 3 men, her eyes fixed on the dark ocean. Her thoughts were louder than the waves. Liam, Ryan, Michael. 3 men from 3 lifetimes ago, all here the night before her wedding. It felt impossible, like a dream she hadn't asked for but couldn't wake up from. Inside, they waited. No one moved. No one left. Emma finally stepped back in, the cool night air still clinging to her skin. She didn't know where to start. Part of her wanted them to leave, to give her space. But another part, the part that hadn't stopped wondering about each of them, needed to know why they came. Why now? Why together? She looked at Liam first. He sat on the couch, hands clasped tightly. In college, he had been her anchor. Gentle, creative, always there. He wrote songs about the way she laughed, and once, after a long night of studying, told her he loved her right before she left for Europe. When she came back, he was gone. No note. No reason. Emma spoke quietly. You disappeared, Liam, for 5 years. He looked up, pain in his eyes. I didn't think I deserved you. I didn't have a job, no plan. You were going places, and I was still figuring out who I was. I thought leaving was the kindest thing I could do. Emma shook her head. You could have said goodbye? I know, he said. That's why I'm here now. I've lived with that regret every day. I came to tell you I was wrong. About everything. She turned to Ryan, who was standing by the small fireplace. He held a small wooden box, something familiar. He opened it slowly. Inside was a faded photo of them as kids, barefoot, grinning in front of her old house. And underneath it, a folded letter. I wrote this the night before my family moved to Vermont, Ryan said. But I was too scared to give it to you. I found it again last month. Emma opened the letter with shaking hands. The paper was old, the ink faded, but the words were clear. If I ever come back, I hope it's because you're still waiting. Her chest tightened. I never forgot you, Em, he said softly. You were my first real love, and maybe I was yours. I came because I wanted to see if that little spark from when we were kids, if it could still be something real. Then there was Michael, still standing near the window, arms crossed, watching her. Say it, Emma said, not unkindly. Why are you here? Michael's voice was calm but firm. Because I never stopped loving you. Emma's breath caught. He continued. I know we were messy. I know we hurt each other, but I've tried to move on. Dated other people. Focused on work. But I always come back to you in my mind. I thought I could live with that. Then I heard you were getting married. And I couldn't. I had to see you. One last time, Emma paced the room. Everything felt surreal. These were the people who had made her laugh, cry, grow. Each of them had changed her in some way. She sat down. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was clear. This wasn't supposed to happen. Tomorrow I'm marrying someone who's never hurt me. Someone who's been there. Who loves me in the quietest, most beautiful way. I was sure. Michael stepped closer. Are you still sure? She didn't answer. She-COULDN, single quotes. T.E. Liam leaned forward. I'm not here to ruin your wedding. I just wanted to be honest before it was too late. Ryan added, same. I'm not asking you to run away with me. I just want you to know the truth. Michael looked at her. I am asking, not to run, but to think. About what you really want. Not what feels safe. Not what looks perfect. But what sets your soul on fire. Emma stood. The room felt smaller now. You want the truth? She said, voice cracking. I don't know what I want anymore. I thought I did. But then the three of you show up, and suddenly my heart feels like it's being pulled in three directions. I've spent years wondering what could have been with each of you. And now you're all here, and I'm supposed to pick a life tomorrow. Just like that. No one spoke. Emma walked over to her wedding dress. She touched the sleeve gently. I thought love was supposed to feel clear, like something you just know. But what if love isn't just about knowing? What if it's about choosing? She turned to them. Daniel is good to me. He's steady, kind, and thoughtful. He's everything I should want. And I do love him. But if I still have this many questions the night before our wedding, maybe I'm not ready to choose anyone yet. Ryan looked down. Liam closed his eyes. Michael didn't move. Emma sank onto the edge of the bed, exhausted. Liam spoke first. Then don't choose tonight. Let the morning come, sleep, breathe. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. Ryan nodded. We didn't come here to pressure you. Just to be honest, we've said what we needed to say. Michael looked at her one last time. Whatever you decide. I just hope it's something that makes you feel alive. You deserve that. Emma gave a small, tired smile. The three men stood, slowly gathering their things. Liam picked up his jacket. Ryan closed the box and slipped it back into his coat. Michael didn't say another word. They walked to the door. One by one, they paused. Each gave her a look she would never forget. Liam's was full of quiet regret. Ryan's was soft, almost hopeful. Michael's was the hardest to read, intense and unspoken. Then the door clicked shut and Emma was alone again. She sat in silence, the sound of the ocean returning. The waves, the wind, the faint creak of the old inn. She looked at the clock. 2:13 a.m. In 5 hours, she was supposed to wake up and get ready. In 7, walk down the aisle. In 8, say I do. But how could she, with her heart still split open like this? She stood, walked to the mirror, and looked at herself. Not as a bride. Not as someone's girlfriend or ex. Just as Emma. A woman with a big heart. A long past. And a decision that couldn't be made by pressure or timing, but only by truth. The night had given her something she never expected. Clarity through chaos. Tomorrow, everything could change. But tonight, all she could do was close her eyes and listen to her breath, her thoughts and whatever voice still whispered inside. The sky was just beginning to turn gray-blue when Emma opened her eyes. Her phone buzzed softly on the nightstand. It was 6:02 a.m., wedding day. She didn't feel like a bride. No butterflies. No excitement. Just a heavy stillness in her chest. She sat up slowly, remembering every detail of the night before Liam's apology, Ryan's letter, Michael's confession. 3 men from her past had shown up within the same hour. each carrying words she hadn't realized she still needed to hear. She walked to the balcony. The ocean looked calm. The sky was pale and soft. She thought about what would happen if she just stayed there, didn't get dressed, didn't go downstairs, didn't say I do. Would the world fall apart? Or would it simply shift? Her heart felt like it was balancing on the edge of something sharp. There was a knock at the door. Not loud. Gentle. Emma froze. She walked slowly to open it. It was Daniel. He stood in his jeans and a hoodie, holding 2 cups of coffee and a paper bag of pastries. His eyes were warm, but something in his face had changed. "I couldn't sleep," he said quietly. "Thought I'd come see you before everything starts." Emma stepped aside. "You probably shouldn't be here." He walked in anyway and placed the coffee on the table. The room still carried the energy of the night before, though there was no trace of the 3 men, now just a quiet mess of flowers, dress bags, and unanswered questions. Daniel sat on the armchair. "You okay?" Emma stood across from him, unsure what to say. "Something happened last night." He looked at her gently. "I know. I saw Liam downstairs. Then Ryan. Then Michael." Her heart dropped. "I came up to surprise you. And saw them all waiting outside your door." Emma stared at him. "You didn't come in. I didn't want to interrupt. I figured if they came all this way, they weren't here for nothing." Emma sat slowly. "I didn't invite them. I didn't know they were coming." Daniel nodded. "I believe you." Silence filled the room. The air was soft and heavy. Daniel looked out the window for a long moment. Then he turned back to her. "I've loved you since the first time we met. You walked into that party wearing a green coat and holding a coffee you never finished. You smiled at me like you already knew me. I've never stopped feeling lucky to be the one you chose." Emma's eyes stung. "But last night," he continued, "I realized something. You still have parts of your heart tied to people who came before me. I've always known that, but I thought time would help. I thought we'd build something strong enough to replace it." Emma spoke softly. "We did." He smiled. "But did we build something you can live inside forever?" She couldn't answer. Daniel stood and walked over to her. He took her hands. "I don't want to marry someone who's still questioning what love really means to her. You deserve to be sure. You deserve to walk down that aisle with your whole heart." She closed her eyes, tears slipping out quietly. Daniel kissed her forehead. "So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go downstairs, grab my things, and go for a long drive. I'll call my parents. I'll call yours if you need me to. We'll tell the guests whatever you want." Emma's lips trembled. "I'm so sorry." "I know you are," he said, squeezing her hand. "But I also know this isn't about me. This is about you figuring out what you really want before you make a promise you can't keep." She looked up at him, broken-hearted. "You were always too good to me," smiled, but it was sad. "That's because I loved you enough to let you go. If that's what you needed." He left quietly. The door clicked shut, and with it, the wedding day she had planned for a year disappeared. The inn staff were kind. Guests were told there had been a change. Emma's family was confused but supportive. No drama. Just quiet conversations and returned wedding gifts. The dress was packed away before noon. By late afternoon, Emma sat on a bench near the cliffs, watching the waves crash below. She had her coat wrapped around her hair in the wind, heart in her hands. Footsteps approached. It was Liam. He sat beside her, silent at first. Then he said, "I heard." Emma nodded. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just the truth showing up when I least expected it. Liam looked out at the ocean. "I meant what I said last night, but I also meant it when I said I wasn't here to take anything. I just wanted you to know." She turned to him. "Thank you for being honest." They sat together for a while. Then he stood. "I'm heading back to San Diego. Got a show tomorrow night." Emma smiled. "Play something happy," he chuckled. "I'll try." He leaned down, kissed her on the cheek, and walked away. A few minutes later, Ryan appeared. He didn't say anything at first. Just sat next to her, hands in his jacket pockets. I always thought it'd be you and me, he said after a while. But maybe that was just a sweet memory I wanted to hold on to. Emma looked at him. It was real. Back then, he nodded. But you're not that girl anymore, and I'm not that boy. She smiled sadly. No, we grew up. He stood slowly. Take care of yourself, Em. You too. Ryan walked off toward the trees, and with him, the last piece of her childhood. Just before sunset, Michael came. He didn't sit. Just stood in front of her, hands in his coat, eyes searching her face. You really didn't marry him, he said. Emma looked up. No, because of me. She shook her head. Because of me. Full he seemed to understand. I wanted to come back into your life like a storm again, he said. But maybe this time I don't want to leave things broken. She looked at him, honest. You didn't break anything. I was already unsure. You all just made me face it. Michael sat beside her. I'm not here to ask for anything, he said. Not today. But if you ever want to try again slowly, carefully, I'm around. Emma smiled faintly. I think I need to be alone for a while. He nodded. Then I'll wait. Or I won't. But either way, I'll be okay. And so will you. The sun began to sink, casting gold over the water. Emma closed her eyes. She had no ring on her finger, no plans, no certain future, but for the first time in years, her heart felt quiet. Not because it was empty, but because it was finally honest. 1 year later, Emma moved to Portland. She opened a small bookshop with a coffee bar in the back. Her days were slow and peaceful. Daniel met someone new and got engaged. They exchanged Christmas cards. Liam toured the country. Ryan opened a bike shop, and Michael emailed her once in a while, but there were no more uninvited visits, no more dramatic nights. Just mutual respect and quiet memories. Emma didn't fall in love, again right away, but she learned something more valuable. That love isn't always about choosing someone else. Sometimes, the bravest love story is choosing yourself